For the thousands who've gone to New Westminster Secondary School, chances are few know the sad tale that ended here.
In almost all sense of the word, British Columbia was the Wild West.
It's a story that starts near Kamloops, where in the 1870s the sprawling rangeland was home to some of BC's early pioneers and First Nations.
All these boys are of mixed race.
The boys were the three McLean brothers, aged 13 to 23, who didn't fit in either with First Nations or the settler community, and spent their days stealing and menacing anyone in their way.
The boys never really felt part of any society, whether it be the First Nations or the white society. They were a mixed race, so they kind of just ran wild. They took what they wanted. They were notorious for beating up people. In fact, Charlie actually was stuck in the Kamloops jail for a while because he bit the nose off of another native boy.
What made the McLean brothers such feared outlaws wasn't just their taste for crime, but they were all superb marksmen, even when they were drunk on whiskey, which was a lot of the time. But they finally went too far when they stole a prized horse from a rancher, and Kamloops' only police officer, the well-respected Johnny Usher, tracked them to their frigid winter camp and was shot down in cold blood.
And Archie comes out from behind these poplars and lowers the gun about 2 feet away, pulls the trigger and kills the policeman, Johnny Usher, dead right there.
A posse cornered them in this cabin near Merritt, where an epic shootout happened before they surrendered. You can still see the bullet holes.
They eventually fire off all their weapons after a couple of surrender notes have been sent.
BC historian John Mitchell says in a last-ditch effort, the McLeans tried to stir up a First Nations uprising. BC's tiny government at the time took it seriously.
They thought it was inevitable that it was going to be a native uprising. And weapons were gathered and put on steamers to be transported up into this country.
The uprising didn't happen, and the McLeans were taken to New Westminster, convicted and hanged. At only 15, Archie McLean became one of the youngest people ever executed in what would become Canada.
Some say there was a tear coming down out of Archie's eye. The other boys apologized and said that people should get a lesson from their wayward ways.
The wild McLean brothers were buried in the nearby cemetery that is now the site of New West Secondary. Their bodies remain there today. Paul Johnson, Global News.